All right, let's jump right into the high-stakes world of Pakistan's energy sector. We're going to be talking about a company called GEPCO and a single decision that could honestly change everything.
I mean, that's the big question, right? It has massive implications for millions of people, not to mention the entire national economy. And with GEPCO, Pakistan is basically about to find out the answer in real time.
So yeah, we're talking about the Gujranwala Electric Power Company, or GPICS for short. For decades, it's been this pillar of the state, but now it's officially up for sale.
So let's get into the main story here. This isn't just some small restructuring or a simple change in management. Nope, the government is getting GEPCO ready for a complete outright sale.
And you have to understand, this is a huge deal. While other state-owned companies are being looked at for long-term leases, GEPCO is the big test case. We're talking a full transfer of ownership to a private company, a first of its kind.
So you gotta ask, why GEPCO? Why them for this historic move? Well, it's not the biggest utility in the country, but it serves a region with a really good payment record and, crucially, a ton of profitable industrial clients. Bottom line, it's seen as the crown jewel of the whole system.
To really get why this sale is such a massive deal, we need to look at exactly where GEPCO operates. Because it's not just any old region, it's pretty much the economic engine room of the whole country.
GEPCO provides the power for what's known as the Golden Triangle. This place is just packed with small and medium-sized businesses. Think surgical instruments and sports equipment from Sialkot, or textiles from Gujranwala. This is the absolute heart of Pakistan's export economy.
And the sheer scale of the operation is immense. We're talking about almost 4 million different customers. That's everything from tiny workshops to huge factories, and of course, millions of family homes.
And to keep the lights on for all those people, it takes a workforce of over 11,000 employees. We're talking engineers, linemen out in the field, and all the administrative staff who keep it running.
And all of that business generates an absolutely staggering amount of revenue. On average, that's nearly 9 billion Pakistani rupees coming in every single month. It's just a massive financial operation.
Now, this chart really shows you the core of GEPCO's business model. You can see that households, over 4.5 million of them, make up the huge majority of connections. But it's that much smaller group, the roughly 88,000 industrial consumers, that provides the steady, high-volume income that makes GEPCO so attractive to a potential buyer.
So how did GEPCO even become this industrial powerhouse? Well, its journey pretty much tells the story of Pakistan's entire energy sector in a nutshell.
It all started under this giant state-run monopoly called WAPDA. Then, in 1998, there was a big push for more efficiency, so WAPDA was unbundled and GEPCO was created as its own company. The 2010s brought a wave of modernization with things like smart meters, and now, here we are on the path to full privatization.
And it's really important to get this. The change wasn't just for fun. The move away from that old, centralized model was driven by a real crisis. By the 90s, the original state-run system had basically become what they called a white elephant, just too inefficient, too corrupt to work properly.
Okay, let's zoom in a little on the human side of all this. Because behind all the policy debates and the big numbers, there are over 11,000 people whose entire lives are tied to this company.
This table gives us a great snapshot of what a career inside GEPCO looks like. It follows the government's basic pay scale, or BPS system. So you could start out as, say, an assistant lineman, making around 35 to 50,000 rupees. And you could work your way all the way up to chief engineer, where your salary could be over 350,000 rupees a month.
But, the salary is only one part of the story. A permanent government job like this comes with some truly life-changing perks. We're talking free electricity every month, a secure pension for retirement, lifelong medical care, and extra hazard pay for the field staff doing dangerous work every day.
But here's where it gets really interesting. A major shift is already happening inside the company. Even before it's sold, GEPCO has already started moving away from that old model. New people are often hired on corporate-style contracts. They might get a higher pay up front, but they're trading away that long-term job security and the pension benefits that really defined a GEPCO career for generations. Which, of course, brings us to the final, crucial question. What does the future actually hold? When a private owner gets the keys, what happens to the company, to the employees, and to all its customers?
Well, for the current employees, there is a safety net built into this whole process. The contracts, the salaries, and especially the pensions of the thousands of permanent staff, they're legally protected.
A new owner can't just come in and wipe all that away.
So the transition is probably going to look something like this. The sale gets finalized, all the existing contracts for permanent staff are honored, but the new management will almost certainly bring in its own hiring policies, which means accelerating that shift to contract-based jobs for any new roles.
And that leaves us with this final thought. GEPCO is the experiment. Its whole journey from a state monopoly to a private company is being watched incredibly closely. Whether this sale succeeds or fails could very well set the blueprint for the entire energy sector of a country of 240 million people. The stakes, they just couldn't be any higher.